This question really resonated with me because it's about the feeling of despair and these really tough places that we get into in life. And I would love to be able to just pick you out of it, pick people out of it, have people get me out of it when I'm in it, but it's not that easy to dispel. So I can't banish it, but I'm hoping that I can offer a couple of tools here that will hopefully take the edge off it when you are in a state like this. So the first tool I want to offer is the concept that just because you feel like this, it isn't an indicator that something is wrong. I don't know about you, but if I get hurt, part of the worry is, is my body damaged at the same time? It's not just the pain, it's the fear of damage. And I feel like in these despair situations, this feels really bad. I feel like I'm alone. I feel like there's no help no help for me out there. And I'm also worried that because I feel like this, maybe those negative thoughts are true, or maybe my connection with God is off, or maybe God doesn't exist. Because if I was all the way plugged in and spiritually healthy, I wouldn't feel like this, right? So isn't this state an indicator that something is wrong? And I'm saying it's not, because we go in cycles. It's not light all the time. It gets dark for about half of the 24-hour period every day. Swedenborg describes a day-night cycle even in spiritual things. And it sounds like what you're describing is spiritual night. And that when the light is dim and it's not as hot, when it just feels like there's nothing comforting there. And he talks about how we actually perceive God and the true and good things differently depending on which state we're in. And it's a correspondence with the sun and the moon. That when the sun is out, this is when there's light and heat everywhere. Just like when the things that we believe, the higher truths we believe, they really seem obviously self-apparently true, and God seems like a presence who's there, or even if it's not perceived as tangibly God, you feel comforted, you feel like you have hope, you feel like things are going to go well. However, when it gets to be night, we don't have that anymore. You have the moon, which is bright, but it's dimmer and it's not warm like the sun is. So Swedenborg says that is an image of what he calls faith, or this idea that we have concepts that tell us things. Like, obviously, when you're writing this question, you know that there's the concept out there that God is stronger and God is helping, but it doesn't feel true. But we can still remember that it's true. We still can intellectually say, oh, that's true. That's like having just the moon, which is a little bit of light, but not heat. So if we can think of it like that, instead of what's wrong, but just to realize it's night. It's night right now. And I have this intellectual concept that evil is not stronger than good, that God is this force that can help. And that's what I can go on until it's morning. Because something implicit in this idea that there's a day-night cycle is that it'll end. The night will end. When you get into these little boxes of despair, where your ego, or what Swedenborg would call hell, is trying to convince you this is where it's going to stay. This is the beginning of the end, and this is how it is. But knowing, it's day-night, like even though it's dark now, it's going to end. That takes all the power out of it for me, just knowing that there's going to be this period, but the sun's going to rise. So that's tool number one. Tool number two is that hell always lies. Hell is always telling you a lie. The evil and falsity are constantly linked. And hell is, in my experience, what I would call hell, this negative part of your ego mind that is trying to insert these debilitating concepts and convince you of them. They're always operating, hoping you don't question their assumptions or their underlying worldview, because what they're trying to get you to believe doesn't make sense if you step back from it and look at it. Because in the question you write, you're saying, what if God is not as strong as hell? Well, a worldview in which you do believe in God, but believe that an evil force is stronger, that doesn't really make sense, because I'm assuming that you don't believe in like a dualistic system where there's an infinite force of evil and an infinite force of good, and is one stronger than the other. That God is the source of things, right? And that if evil was really stronger than good, we'd all be destroyed long ago, right? Or that how could there be a source that would create structured beings that would live and love and all that, but then evil they became stronger? You find your own reasons, but what I'm saying is it doesn't hold up to the rational test. in the assumptions that are leading up to this little God is not stronger, right? So they're always, they don't have a consistent worldview, but they don't want you to examine that. It's like, don't fact check us. Don't fact check us. They'll use your concepts. They know you believe in God. They know that you believe in good and stuff, but they don't really hold up to those themselves, and they're not putting them in the right order. They don't even really believe in this stuff that they're telling you. So I feel like if you can take the time to just step back or write down, wait, what would need to be true in order for this to be true, you'll start to see that it's ridiculous. It's self-referentially ridiculous. But they just want you to focus on the little box at hand, which is, you don't feel good, this isn't going to work. They don't want examination. They don't want to be, as I said, fact-checked. And then the last one is that this is how we grow. Swedenborg says that only through what he calls spiritual struggles, sometimes it's translated as temptations, do we progress spiritually. And he says that those categorically lead to despair. So one thing you can think when you're in the depths of some kind of despair like this is, even though I can't feel it, I know this is accomplishing something good. That the forces that are trying to convince me that I'm miserable and that I'm collapsing, there's nothing out for me, they're actually losing in this moment, because this cycle is happening and the divine is strengthening me. Because in those moments when you realize your dependence on the divine, or how much I need there to actually be that powerful, loving, present God, you actually form a closer bond with God. So you're going to come out of this, they're going to lose territory on this. They're coming in trying to mess with you, but actually it's a bad time investment on their part, that you're going to come out stronger. So those are 3 tools to hopefully provide some comfort when you're in it. Sorry that you're feeling like that. Know that we all do at times, or at least I do, and I think the 2 of us are not the only ones. So that's what I have to offer. Thanks for the question.